Hello, everyone. Today we're joined by very talented Amol Parashar with us today, who's here promoting his upcoming series, Cool. Now, what is Cool? What is it all about? And when is it coming? And everything that is going to bring along. Let's know from the man himself. Thank you, Amol, for joining
Thank you for
India
having
today.
me. Thank you.
The trailer shows that everybody is battling for kingship and everybody's battling for that kingdom. Was it that chaos all about?
So it's a modern royal family. I mean, it is a royal family, but set in today's time because they exist. And I also recently got to know कि वो royalty चल रही है. How much royalty remains and how much the opulence remains that needs to be found out. And most of them, like we see, these old palaces have been converted into hotels, and that's the business is coming from there. Because how do you sustain that lifestyle? There are scandals and there are old stories and familial equations and fights and inheritance dramas. So I think this is the show that tries to capture all of that. It's a fictionalized family. It's not based on a real event or a real family or sort of book that somebody wrote about some real people, but it tries to capture that kind of limbo where you don't see yourself as a commoner, but you don't have royalty anymore. Like there's hardly any power. There's some influence. Maybe some people still look up to the family. बहुत जगह पे ऐसा है. There in smaller places. In fact, I saw because I also was reading about it that there are temples that in the olden times the king would go and offer on a certain day of the year. वो अभी भी हो रहा है because the rituals are still being carried out. Maybe the power and the money has kind of dissipated, but people still feel attached to you. So there's some influence, there's some desire to be coronated in a way. So वो है and उस चीज़ को capture किया. In this case, it's a very dysfunctional setup. They hardly like each other, and they all have their own lives, and they all have their own baggages, and they all have their own traumas, and the only thing that probably binds them together is maybe I'll get a part of the pie, whatever that pie is. That pie can be just being renamed as the heir of the royal family, who gets the palace, who has what plans with the palace. One sibling wants to turn it into a hotel, the other is like, no, this is our palace, this is our home, it can't be a hotel. But it's all not all, it's more egocentric. The battles are more personal than they seem to be on the surface, which I think is what happens in real life also. Actually, your conflict is something else. You can disguise it as, oh, this is the better thing to do, but you're only saying it because you don't like the other person. You don't like your sibling, or you don't like your father, or the father doesn't like you. So it kind of tries to capture that. It's very different from the other body of work or what people know me for. And especially the character that I'm playing, who's the youngest sibling. If you see the teaser, is Abhimanyu Rai Singh, and he's a nuisance.
He's very hot-headed.
Very, very. I think the teaser doesn't capture the madness of his madness. Of course, everybody is a little mad in there.
And towards the end, he says that this is mine, and then the kind of
Yeah,
chaos
yeah.
that we all see.
This is a crazy guy. Like, this is probably the craziest character I played, and not crazy in a good way. Like, I mean, there are other characters that I played which can be seen as, oh, he's a crazy cool guy. But this is not a crazy cool guy. He's a crazy nuisance. He's the person you don't want in your life, ideally, because he's just gonna ruin things. He's gonna ruin things because he's narcissistic, he's selfish, he lies, he has substance abuse, he's misogynist, he's homophobic. He's just
There's so much of layers that you're trying to tell me that the character has that you're going to play
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
How is it like? Is that I'm sure that is completely different to what you are.
I would like to believe. Hopefully so.
How did you manage to get into that skin of the
I
character?
mean, it also excites you a little bit because one thing is getting to do something new that we haven't done before.
Right.
So there's the excitement of the newness, the excitement. Oh, somebody thought of me for this, because you may not be the obvious choice or the first person that comes to mind when somebody is casting. So I take that as a show of faith of the makers, and I have now noticed that some makers have that instinct a little more than the others, or Probably it's a style thing, probably it's an imagination thing, or a courage thing. But with Ekta, for example, with Balaji, I have done three projects so far, and all three of them are very different from each other. And it mostly, I think, comes from her, is what I get to know. Ekta was very insistent that let's call Amol for this. So starting from a family, middle class family drama like Home, which I'd done a show on Alt some years ago, which was directed by Mr. Habib Faisal. Then I did a film called Dolly Kitty or Wo Chamakte
Chamakte
Sitare, where I
Sitare.
play this, very rural, small town boy from a village trying to make it in Greater Noida. He's a delivery boy, the nicest guy in the world, very innocent. And then suddenly Kul happens and Abhimanyu Rising, and he's just like the worst guy that I have played. Of course, I mean, we there's always some justification or some reason to why people are the way they are. But I also believe that bad things happen to all of us,
Okay.
but it's also what you make of it. There is also a feeling of liberation when you're playing a character like that. It's liberating because you are not, like you said, you are mostly not that
That
person, or
person.
even if you have a moment in life where you have an instinct where you feel very angry or rage or you want to hurt someone, you don't let it come
Come
out.
out like
You
that
manage it. And,
somehow.
I mean, that's what it is.
Humans
You are
are.
supposed to do.
Right,
Deal
right,
with those feelings.
right.
Don't act out.
Absolutely.
So to maybe be a way that that you will never be, or you shouldn't be in real life. So that safe space of a scene or a fictionalized character gives you the freedom to be obnoxious, to to just taste that kind of feeling also. Right? I was just happy that it came to me because that most of the queries that come to you, most of the characters that come to you are mostly in tune with the kind of work
Work
you've
that
done.
you've done before.
Right? It is
Right.
so people's imagination is limited a little bit by
By what they've
by
seen.
what they've seen of you, how
Exactly.
they've seen you, how they've seen you talk, how they've seen you behave. So, which is why I was giving that credit to Balaji and Ekta, that then clearly she's the kind of creator and maker who has an imagination and has the courage to take that leap. One is I think he can do it. One is put money on
To
that
invest
thought,
on the
in that
project.
on that faith. Like put your money where your mouth is. Right?
Right.
So and it is not like, so far what I felt, it is not even like, oh, maybe Amol, maybe not. Mostly from what I hear from creators is she knows. So that gives me, in fact, a little more motivation कि यार किसी ने आपके लिए आप पे faith दिखाया है, and maybe they have shut down a couple of doubters saying no, I believe in this guy. So it gives you an extra motivation कि यार now I have to make sure that this person is not embarrassed because of me, and those two people are like, see, we told you he won't be able to do it. So I really enjoyed myself. I put in a little more than what I would have otherwise. And these kind of characters sometimes demand also a little more because they're tiring, you're hungry, and this thing is like high octane scenes, and you shoot 4 scenes in a day, and it's like, I'm spent, I have no emotions left in me. Um, but now the exciting part happens, that it's going to come out, and we'll find out how it's worked out eventually in terms of my character and the show as a whole. And I
You've
hope
left the audience and fans very intrigued by what you've given a
so. I've done my job then.
outer layering of your character. And I'm
Yeah.
sure fans will be very much excited to watch you.
Yeah, yeah.
You just said that the kind of roles that you have played, they've always been very diverse. One has to do nothing with the other that you have played somehow. But there's one role that has been, that has caught the attention of all is when you played Bhagat Singh in Sardar Udham Singh.
Yeah, yeah.
That is a very serious role that demands a lot of research, that demands that poisoness that has to be there, that the kind of, how you carry it on screen. So how was that? When it came to you, how did you
I
feel?
think a
You would.
similar kind of, or at least some similar emotions and feelings around it. That I was surprised because again it was unusual for me also to receive this kind of
Of role.
character or offer. Can we? Do you want to screen test? Like they'll screen test me. They'll realize कि हाँ ये कहाँ भगत सिंह तो ऐसे होते हैं,
हाँ.
right? And because I also had an image because of what I have grown up with in popular cinema and otherwise. So when it happened, I was like, "What's happening here? Why? What is this strange faith?" And I realized it is faith in your abilities, yes. It's also a vision that a maker has, and I think Shudit sir, especially with the film as a whole, uh, I think it's a very, as a whole, the film Sardar Udham is a very, very different take on the freedom movement, and different not in terms of facts but different in terms of, mostly uh, we just, in our history books, in our history films, in our freedom movement films, we show events. Right? That this happened, then they threw a bomb in the parliament, then the court case happened, then this thing happened. You never see who they are beyond these events. Right? And if you see Sardar Udham, even Vicky's character, it's a stupendous performance, I think. It's very understated, very real. It captures the sleeplessness, the anxiety, the fear, the waiting of, Udham Singh waited for 6 years to shoot that bullet. He was in London for 6 years. What was he doing for 6 years? How do you spend those 6 years? How do you get through those days, those nights? What jobs do you do? Do you ever give up on some days? I don't know what I'm doing. Like 3 years into London, you'd be like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Is this ever going to happen? See, those mundane but real emotions and real behind the scenes, the humanity of these people. Oh, and which is something which stuck with me when one of the first few meetings, Sujit sir said कि यार मतलब for right reasons हम लोगों ने उन लोगों को भगवान बना के दीवार पे चिपका दिया. Right? But what that has done is that we have distanced ourselves from the humanity of these people. You think यार ये तो कोई अलग ही थे, ये तो अवतार थे, ये तो वो थे. But they were as flesh and blood as you and me. And unless you show their humanity, maybe one reason to show their humanity is to inspire you as an audience. यार ये मैं भी कर सकता हूँ. वो कुछ अलग मिट्टी के नहीं बने थे. हम बोल देते ना वो अलग मिट्टी के बने थे. हमने बोल दिया है पोएट्री में. But what does that do? It alienates your responsibility. यार वो तो अलग मिट्टी के थे, मैं तो नॉर्मल हूँ. मुझसे नहीं होगा ये. Right? It's not for me. Revolution is not for me, or change is not for me, or fight is not for me. But when you see कि यार ये वही वही खाना खाते थे, वही थे, उनकी एंजाइटीज वही थी, उनके पेरेंट्स को भी चिंता होती थी, उनकी भी लव लाइफ में थे, they would feel all these things, they'd be hungry, they'd like eating. So if you see the film, there's a lot of talk about food and what will you do, how will you enjoy yourself, what is your idea of downtime, as we say. What is the idea of downtime? Somebody asks Bhagat Singh, "जब हो जाएगा खत्म फिर क्या करोगे?" That's downtime. No, then the project will be over. What will you do? It's like, I'll have fun. Right? What is the idea of fun? I'll have some wine, I'll have a beautiful woman, I'll dance with her. So you see a real log. So I think that maybe was one reason why I got cast in that film. That he saw a certain kind of boyish realism. Like, I want to show how young they were. I want to show the boyish side of these guys. They were 21-year-olds when you see them in the film. Right? He was hung at 23. Looked at even the books I read from that lens, and I read the articles that he used to write. He used to write in pseudonyms also. He used to write articles. He used to write in Hindi, Punjabi, English. He wanted to learn languages. He was reading all kinds of literature from all over the world, and the knowledge, the self awareness, the humor. I was like, ये किस लोग ऐसे बात कर रहे हैं यार, हम क्या थे, हम तो बेवकूफ थे, कुछ आता नहीं था हमें, दुनिया के बारे में पता नहीं था. But that is why probably they had the respect that they had. He had the respect that he had, even at 21, 22, 23. So it was quite a learning experience for me, and I was happy that I was in the uh, safe and trustworthy hands of Mr. Shujit Sarkar. Shooting the film, I was there for 7, 8 days, but I came back and everybody asked me how it was. And I was like, yeah, no, just like I had fun, like creatively, uh, people, nice people, committed people. There's no like flap, and there's no egos, and nobody's here to play games, whatever these little things. And बहुत 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 सुंदर experience था वो. मैंने 7-8 दिन shoot किया, and I was as satisfied as I would be probably from a 40-day 50-day schedule. That kind of creative satisfaction and wanting to go back. कि अरे खत्म हो गया, And I didn't get to know, like one day we shot one scene and he's like, hmm, इसका क्या बाकी वो हो गया जेल का हो गया ये हो गया I think we're done. I said done for the day. He said no, we're done. I said oh, done. My part is done. But we thought we have two more days because you know they are कि I was here for 2 months. But yeah, वो हमने safety के लिए plan किया था. But हो गया. I was like oh कुछ और नहीं थोड़ा सा सही से चल then one day सर क्या चल एक shot ले लेते let's go to the field both of you ask Vicky to get ready and ऐसे ही improvised कि go stand there and put the camera. He said I just wanted to have fun. I don't know what it is. You want to run? You want to just like wrestle? I just want to see two boys having fun. Right? In that time जो भी होता हो gadgets तो नहीं थे तो video games तो नहीं खेल सकते. So the shot of the two of us running is not was not in the script. It was just like, okay, we have some time. Amol is here, Vicky is here. Okay, the costumes are here. Okay, this is a nice frame. Let's create it. And that shot is used so much. All the reels that get made and all
Now I
places
think we
I'm
got all
tagged.
the background story of the
Yeah,
reel and
and
everything. No?
we were also like, yeah, but क्या करना है? Well, just I want to capture some kind of brotherly love, or I want to see some boyishness, pushing, jostling, laughing, and we did that, and just it's a beautiful shot in the film. And again, it's about the humanity. They are not plotting or planning or bringing down the government in that moment. They're just living.
You know, Amol, do you think that there's this thing that has been going on for some time, that stars have become so vulnerable at this point of time that anything you do, anything you pick as project, it gets so much criticized, or it gets so much in that bad or negative light, that it somehow tends to weaken your motivation to opt for such scripts or projects. So as an actor, what do you think about it?
Yeah, you're seeing in terms of like political
In
angst
terms
that
of
people have.
scripts, in terms of movies that are mostly mired in around controversies, that are mostly where stars are also attacked, criticized on social media for their choices, because that is one platform where everybody's just reaching out and just bashing the
I mean,
actors.
everybody's now got a voice thanks to social media. Probably these voices existed, but we never heard them. No, I mean, if somebody somewhere saw a film and said, "Ah, क्या किया है? मुझे पसंद नहीं आया," we didn't never got to know. I mean, probably we only got to know through the performance of the film. Uh, but now everybody has a voice. Everybody has an opinion. I sometimes feel that social media also puts pressure on you to have an opinion. Like I must have an opinion, And if you open the phone and if all my friends have an opinion about this, then I also must have an opinion, and that opinion will mostly be a rehash of the opinions
Of others.
of others or who you want to align with. It's a very subconscious thing, I think, but it's mostly
Like a peer
if I
pressure
want
sort of
to,
thing.
yeah, but it's subconscious. It's like I'm not telling you to agree with me, but if I like this person for whatever reasons, or if I want to be uh, associated with this person, or I see myself is in this image, then I must have the same opinions. Like I must.
Align with your
Must
thoughts.
my line of thoughts. So my thoughts are influenced by you. Like if you put something, which is your opinion, he puts something which is a completely different opinion. But if I like you more, if I want to be subconsciously be liked by you or be aligned more with you than him, I slowly just start having opinions like this. So I feel it's a good exercise even for us, even for actors and people. I feel because the numbers can give you a pressure to have an opinion. Also, I have 1 million followers. I have to say something about this. I have a voice, so I must use it. I feel is not
But does
necessary.
that criticism put you down also? Because at some point of time, you need to introspect. You start introspecting yourself and
Maybe,
doubting yourself.
maybe. I mean, thankfully, it's not happened to me in a very strong way, or I've not had a moment in my career where it's just like, oh, what's happening? Just shut down my phone for 2 days. नहीं हुआ है. Hopefully ना हो. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm maybe not trying to have an opinion right now, which is this or that, because sometimes I have felt that कि यार आपने आपका ओपिनियन भी कुछ बहुत अच्छा बहुत क्लियर बहुत वेल थॉट आउट नहीं था राइट या आपका आपका intentions or motivations a
I think
little
that's why people
illogical to
get
me.
more carried away also, especially if the comedians are also there. They also get carried away with their
Yeah, that's
thoughts.
what I'm saying. So I'm not defending कि भाई नहीं उसने जो किया सब सही है, but everything law exist करता है because as a society we decided कि यार ऐसे तो हम किसी के personal उस पे नहीं जा सकते ना. This is why laws exist. If it was all about feelings, यार I feel like killing this person, right? But you can't because we agreed कि नहीं यार हम feelings पे नहीं जाएंगे, हम law पे जाएंगे. Let's have a uniform law for all of us कि killing is bad. जो एक कोई किसी को भी मारे killing is bad. This is how we decided as a society कि feeling पे नहीं जाना है. थोड़ा सा एक यूनिफॉर्मिटी रखनी है. बट सोशल मीडिया अलाउज यू और दिस काइंड ऑफ इंस्टेंसेस कि भाई मुझे तो फीलिंग आ गई, मेरी फीलिंग और मेरी फीलिंग ही सच है. वायलेंस इज समथिंग दैट आई, वेदर इट्स इमोशनल वायलेंस, मेंटल वायलेंस, वर्बल वायलेंस, फिजिकल वायलेंस, दैट आई completely am not on the side of.
Just contrary to what we are discussing, there's just passing thought that it just came by. Is this the reason that you refrain from talking much about yourself, much about your personal life, much about, just opening up about your life?
Not, I don't
Because you
think
get
this
scared
correct
that
is.
what criticism or opinion or judgments might just come across.
Not really. I don't think you're right. I do not. I talk very rarely about my personal life, which I've always done or always not done. But it is not from a place of fear or not from a fear of judgment or while. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है. It's just like I think I. In the beginning, it was more about no. I was idealistic. I was like no. If I am talked about, I should be talked about only for my work, right? Because I'm an actor, and that's all that matters, right? So in the beginning, it was a lot of idealism. Then I realized, then a lot of people said that this is not how it works. People want to know. If they like you, if they are your favorite actor, in fact, they want to know more about what is happening in your personal life than what film you are doing. So realize कि ठीक है, मतलब okay, but do I have to? No, that's your personal choice. So there are people, there are and well-meaning advice also sometimes. कि यार, hmm, it's okay. It gets you more attention also. It gets, people talk about that more. And you're in the news. If you're seen with this person, seen with that person, who are you dating, all of that. But somehow I've not been able to convince myself that's enough reason for me. Because then it feels like, oh, am I doing this for attention? Am I doing this for PR?
Did you feel pressure at one point of time? Ki I should do it, or I should give in to this pressure, or give in
No,
to
that I
this?
haven't felt so far. I've gotten that advice and I take it well. I said I know what you mean, and I know that is probably the nature of this profession, and especially if you are going down the path of being doing more commercial work or mainstream work and fame, then people you're almost like they're in your living room and they're in your bedroom and they want to be, and that will make you more interesting also for them. They'll be curious about you.
But are you
So I
seeing
understand
someone?
that. I am seeing someone who's also an actor. So which is why all these things. Like people
Okay,
say,
come up.
"Arey, why hide it? Why just saying just put a picture on Instagram?" And I'm like, it's fine. We are happy, and you don't feel the need. I mean, it doesn't affect what we feel towards each other.
So, just before moving forward, I need to tell my fans that just not being an actor, you're an amazing live storyteller. Now, what exactly a live storyteller is and how does that work? Where do you find your audience?
I mean, I kind of stumbled upon it. I started from theatre. My acting journey started from theatre, and I in fact went to Bombay for theatre, which is not the usual path because if you're going to Bombay, you're like, oh, I want to be in a film, I want to be on TV. That's not what it was. I went to do theatre, and then I found these things along the way because I had to sustain myself in a city like Bombay, which is very expensive. And there were all those jokes about Bombay rent, which are all true. So I discovered ads and films, and then later when OTT came, then OTT along the way. But it started from theatre. Like the actor in me was born on stage, which kind of theatre then it kind of tapered out of my life post tripling, and when this started to take off, that kind of took a back seat. And then ended up performing a story in 2020, I think, in a festival called Spoken Fest. Now, that year it happened in Delhi also, in Bombay also. I performed in Delhi first, but the video that went on YouTube was from the Bombay Mumbai performance. Um, and for me, it was just the idea and the motivation was to go back on stage. I hadn't been on stage in a while. For me, it was like a theater performance. I mean, yes, it is a guy with a mic, which is not the usual visual thing. But for me, for my system, for my body and mind, it's like, yeah, I've learned my lines. I know the story. I know my emotions. I'm gonna go and perform. And became quite a thing. A lot of people say, "Oh, this is storytelling." Some people call it poetry. Some people call it stand-up.
There was amalgamation of everything.
There
That
was
is why
yeah,
just
it was a performance. I mean, what kind of performance? I don't know. Like, is it a stand-up? Is it this thing? Yes. Now there is in 2025 we have the storytelling word because there are a lot of people who are probably doing this format, so this word has come up, but it gave me one the creative satisfaction I was looking for, being on stage performing in front of a live audience. Then it also gave me a different kind of confidence because when that story went up online, it became quite a thing. It became quite a moment in culture at that time almost for those 3 months. Like, I started bumping into people who knew me only from that video on YouTube. Like, I know that guy from that video. So yeah, and they didn't know anything else. They didn't know Chitwan, Bhagat Singh, whatever. So I was quite surprised by the reach. It has huge numbers on YouTube also. Apparently, somebody told me that it is the most watched storytelling video on YouTube in Asia.
oh,
A lot of this thing there, but because it's a 15-minute video of one person just talking, which is not usually seen as something that goes viral. Right? Even in the festival, we are only supposed to have 8-minute stories. 8 minutes is their slot. I did a 15-minute story, which is like, अरे कौन चल live तो चल जाता है, but YouTube पे चलेगा कि नहीं पता नहीं. And it is there, and according to them, the most watched video in Asia. And I was like, what? I said, yeah. And so it also gave me confidence. Oh, this is a nice medium because it gives me my satisfaction, and it connects with the audience also. Because of that, I started thinking about doing a full show on my own. I've just a couple of months ago in March I opened my first show under this Amol
so we
Parashar
can
live
we
thing I
can expect
started.
simultaneously acting and live storytelling
Yeah,
going
of
on
course.
down
I
the
mean, I
line.
see it as acting only. I see it as an extension of acting only. I'm acting on stage. I mean, I may be saying my name is Amol. Yesterday I had a heart attack, but I'm acting. I didn't really have a heart attack. Because it is a very interesting format because that even the first story was about uh, relationships and
Right.
meeting people online and casual relationships and situationships or whatever. So a lot of people thought I was speaking in first person. So a lot of people ask me, who's Meenakshi, who's Imani? These are the names of the characters in the story. I don't know a Meenakshi. I've never been with a Meenakshi. I've never been with a Himani. In fact, I probably chose those names so that it doesn't, point towards anyone in my life. Because some of my friends are also like, hey, bro, इसके बारे में क्या? It's like, नहीं bro, मतलब ये कहानी है. In fact, originally तो मेरी भी नहीं है. The original story is written by Divya Prakash Dubey, who's a writer. He's a friend of mine. And I just took his story. I said, can I, tweak it a little bit? Can I add my flavor? Because that story was about meeting people for shadi, arranged marriage setup, meeting people, getting to know each other, awkward dates. This suddenly became about Tinder and casual sex and and no strings attached. So स्ट्रक्चर तो उनका था. मैंने तो बस उसका नेचर बदला है, उसका फ्लेवर बदला है. तो मेरी तो हो ही नहीं सकती है कहानी. आप दिव्य से पूछो, दिव्य की लाइफ में कौन थी मीनाक्षी, उनसे पूछो. So that I think, so there is that fine line. Even the show that I'm doing right now is called Besharam Aadmi. Again, if I went to a producer saying, I want to tell a story about the awkwardness that men feel while handling their wife's lingerie. Right? If they have to handle their wife's lingerie, why is
Unique concept.
yeah, so that's what. But they might be like, yeah, I'm giving you money for that. Really, who wants to watch that? Who? So there are many questions of proof of concept. यार ये क्या अजीब सा है, ये पता नहीं कौन देखेगा. But I can create a 70-minute show. I did. a 75-minute show. I mean, he thought it will be 70, but on stage it became 75 while performing. And it's one person on stage. And it is, when people are watching, it is Amol performing. But when I say I have a wife and my wife's brother, they know it's a fictionalized world that I'm creating. But if it's good and if it's engaging, you come on that journey with me. So it is the live thing is interesting. If people didn't know me at all, then I'd just be an actor performing a piece. But now they have come in to see Amol live. But Amol is telling a story which is a story. So, and I want to, my plan is to do more and more stories. Like this one story, I can run for probably a year. I can do 50 shows, 100 shows. I want to come to Delhi. So far, I've only done 4 shows in Mumbai. I'm going to Bangalore on 18th of May. I'm going to Pune in July. Gurgaon is on the map. In fact, yesterday I went and checked out a venue also because I'm slightly out of touch with that network. What are the venues? What are people watching? Uh, so I'll travel there, and maybe next year or whenever I come up with a story, a story comes to me, I'll make another show. So this I can keep doing on the side.
As we just wrap up our amazing conversation, what can we expect from Kul and what can we expect from your character?
I mean, it is definitely something new. If you've been following my work, this is unlike anything I've done before, which is very exciting for me, and hopefully will be interesting and exciting for people to watch also. Uh, yeah, I'm looking forward to what you guys will have to say when you watch the film. It's quite mad, the show. It's quite dysfunctional. It's a lot of drama, there's a lot of twists and turns. Everybody's at their backs. I mean, each other's backs. Who is going to stab who in the back? We don't know. So it is a high octane drama, and I hope you guys enjoy the show and you enjoy the character that I played. I've genuinely put in some extra work in this one because it demanded it, and I hope I get the same love that I've been getting for my previous work.
I'm sure all the nitty-gritties and integrities
Yeah,
you've all put across your character, I'm sure it's going to be
yeah. I'm
hit.
hoping. My fingers are crossed.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Amol, for joining with India
Thank
today.
you. Thank
Thank
you,
you and
Prachi.
all the very best for
Thank you so much.